All right, let's get right into it. We hear about trade deals constantly, but what's really going on behind the headlines? What are the hidden forces that actually shape these massive agreements that, affect all of us?
So when you see a news alert about a new trade agreement, your mind probably jumps to the usual stuff, right? We're talking about tariffs, exports, maybe the fact that your favorite fruits might get a little cheaper. And look, you're not wrong, but that's barely scratching the surface.
The truth is, all that economic stuff, it's just the tip of a giant iceberg. The real action, the stuff that truly drives these deals, is happening deep underwater. It's all about the hidden currents of politics, national identity, and yeah, even security. And that's exactly what we're going to explore.
So let's start with that first hidden layer, the political battlefield. Because long before any negotiators get on a plane, a massive battle has already been fought right at home.
See, a trade deal isn't cooked up based on some single, unified national interest. No way. As some great research from Kunglin Chi and Yildiz points out, it's actually the result of a huge clash between all these powerful groups. You've got exporting industries screaming for open markets, while other industries are terrified of imports and begging for protection. Then you throw in political parties, labor unions worried about jobs, and civil society groups, and suddenly it's a full-on domestic brawl. Now, to see how this plays out in the real world, we're going to zoom in on the post-Brexit free trade deal between the UK and Australia. It is the perfect example for pulling back the curtain on these deeper, hidden layers.
And this brings us to an even deeper level of the iceberg. Because trade deals, they aren't just about dollars and cents. They're about competing visions for the soul of a nation. They're about what kind of future people want to build.
There's this fantastic term for this idea, economic imaginaries. It sounds academic, but it's pretty simple. It's the shared story a nation tells itself about its economy. Is the goal to be a lean, mean, competitive machine? Or is it to protect citizens and make sure no one gets left behind? These aren't just philosophical debates. They have a huge impact on policy.
And you can see this clash perfectly in the UK-Australia deal. On one side, you had the government riding the Brexit wave, pushing this vision of competitive free trade, a bold, deregulated Britain ready to take on the world. But on the other side, the opposition was pushing a totally different imaginary, embedded, regulated trade. They were focused on protecting jobs and social safety nets. So the fight wasn't just about the price of Australian lamb, it was a battle over the entire future of the British economy.
Okay, now we're going way down, to the deepest part of the iceberg. These are the powerful undercurrents that pretty much shape everything else: security, stability, and just the basic question of how a country is run. You might think trade is all business, but some really interesting research out of Japan tells a completely different story. A 2023 study by Fujita found that for your average person on the street, the security risk of a potential trade partner can totally trump any economic benefits. This is absolutely huge. It means that public support for a trade deal, and whether a government can even get it passed, is deeply connected to geopolitics. People are asking a very basic, powerful question. Can we trust this country? Are they a strategic ally or a potential threat? It shows that foreign policy is baked right into the DNA of trade.
And it goes beyond just military security. Think about it. Businesses and governments, they crave predictability. Nobody wants to sign a multi-billion-dollar deal with a country that could have a political meltdown next year and tear up all its agreements. A partner's internal stability is a massive, massive factor.
You can see this chain of events so clearly in research on the ECOWAS trade agreement in Africa. It's like a pipeline. It starts with political stability. That leads to more predictable policies. When policies are predictable, the costs and risks of doing business go way down. And that, at the end of the day, is what makes trade really work. A shaky government just breaks that chain at the very first link.
But hang on, there's one final twist. Let's say you do everything right. You navigate all these hidden layers. You get everyone at home on board. You win the battle of ideas. You find a stable partner, and you get the deal signed. You can still fail.
So, why? It all comes down to implementation. A study on Indonesia's efforts to put WTO agreements into practice found huge roadblocks inside their own government. We're talking about good old-fashioned bureaucratic red tape, super confusing regulations, and different government departments that just weren't talking to each other. All that can stop a country from ever seeing the benefits of a deal that's already on the books.
So, after diving deep beneath the surface, what's the real secret to understanding a trade deal? Well, it's about seeing the entire iceberg, not just that little bit sticking out of the water.
At the end of the day, this is the most important takeaway. Trade agreements are fundamentally political projects that are just wrapped up in economic language. They are all about power, about ideology, and about a nation's priorities.
So, to really get what's going on, you have to look past the numbers and the tariffs. You have to see the messy political fight happening at home, the competing visions for a country's future, and those deep, powerful currents of security and stability that are truly pulling the strings.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question to think about. In a world where global competition seems to be heating up every day, is it even possible anymore to think of trade as something separate from politics? Or are they now, and maybe forever, just two sides of the very same coin?